I'm Jamie, standing here in this empty reception hall. The silence is deafening. The once lively wedding is now a scene of chaos and revelation. I remember the exact moment when everything changed, when Margaret Thompson, the matriarch of the Thompson family, stood up and shattered the web of lies that had been woven around me. My sister, Lily, was getting married to Ethan Thompson. The Thompsons are an old, wealthy family in the Hillsdale Valley. They own large estates and have a long, standing reputation in the community. Ethan was a kind-hearted man, but he had been fed a false narrative about me. I'm a civil engineer. I own a small firm in Greenville that specializes in building restoration and seismic retrofitting. It was a long and hard-earned journey. I transferred from a community college and worked as a barista for 4 years to pay my way through a state university. Lily, 3 years younger than me, has always been the center of our family's attention. She's charming, with a smile that can light up a room. Our parents, Mr. and Mrs. Parker, have always favored her. Mom is a social climber, always trying to make a good impression on the wealthy families in town. Dad is quiet and usually follows Mom's lead. 3 weeks before the wedding, I got a text from Lily. Your bridesmaid 8. No warmth, just a cold slot number. I should have seen the signs then. There were 8 bridesmaids, but only 7 beautiful teal gowns. I told myself it was family, and one day wouldn't be so bad. On the morning of the wedding, I arrived at the bridal suite at 8 o'clock sharp. The room was filled with the smell of champagne and the sound of laughter. The other 7 bridesmaids were in matching robes, their names monogrammed on them. Mine wasn't. Oh, Jamie, you're getting ready down the hall, Lily said, not even looking up from her phone. The small storage room. Your dress is in there. When I opened the garment bag, I found a bright pink dress, 3 sizes too big. It was made of cheap synthetic fabric that smelled like a factory. I took it back to the suite and showed it to Lily. This can't be right. It's huge, I said. She gave me that fake smile and said, it's the only one left. Aunt Clara, who was adjusting her own perfect teal sash, chimed in. Stop being dramatic. It's not about you. I went back to the storage room and tried to pin the waist with safety pins. But the fabric was too slippery and the pins kept slipping. Looking in the mirror, I saw a stranger, someone who clearly didn't belong. I found Mom in the hallway, helping a flower girl with her bow. Mom, the dress doesn't fit. It's enormous and it's pink. Can we swap with one of the spares? I asked. She didn't even look up. What spares? I pointed to the rack in the suite where there were at least 2 extra teal gowns. Those are for emergencies, she said. This is an emergency, I insisted. She finally looked at me with that patient, closed-off expression she always used when I asked for something. Jamie, don't ruin your sister's day. You know how hard she's worked for this. I stood there, the pink polyester scratching my arms, as she walked away. I knew then that it's the only one left was a lie, but I didn't know how deep the deception went. Let me tell you about my grandmother, Nana. She was the heart of our family. She raised 5 children in a small house and had a garden that provided for the whole neighborhood. When she got sick with lung disease and then a stroke that left her partially paralyzed, I moved in with her. I was 26, just starting my engineering career, but I rearranged my life to take care of her. I bathed her, read to her, and held her hand through the long, dark nights. Lily visited only twice in 3 years, once for Christmas and once when she needed Nana to sign a car loan. At the rehearsal dinner, I overheard Lily telling Ethan's aunt, a wealthy woman with diamonds, about how she had nursed Nana through her final days. I was shocked. I only caught a bit of the conversation before Aunt Clara pulled me away to help with the gift table, but I heard enough. She was stealing my story. The wedding ceremony was held in the Thompson family's private garden. It was a beautiful setting, with boxwood hedges and a stone arch covered in white roses. I stood at the end of the bridal line, half a step behind the last teal gown, almost out of sight. The other bridesmaids glided down the aisle in perfect synchronization, their teal dresses and matching heels clicking on the flagstone. Then it was my turn. My pink polyester dress caught the late afternoon sun like a neon sign. I was wearing the nude pumps I'd packed because no one had told me the heel color, and the hem of the dress dragged around my ankles. I saw Margaret Thompson sitting in the third row. She was watching me, not the procession. Her expression was unreadable, like she was assessing me. After the ceremony, the photographer, a trendy guy with a big camera, arranged us for group portraits. "Teal in front," he said, positioning the 7 bridesmaids like pieces on a chessboard. Then he looked at me and said, "Pink, if you could step to the back row behind the groomsmen." I moved as he asked. He took 6 frames, then said, "Actually, could you shift left? You're catching a weird reflection." I shifted, and he took 4 more frames. Finally, he just gestured vaguely towards the hedge, and I stepped out of the frame entirely. No one called me back. I stood next to a boxwood topiary and watched them take 32 photos without me. During the cocktail hour, I found a high table near the railing and sipped on a glass of sparkling water. I could see Lily working the Thompson relatives, shaking hands, laughing, and touching their arms. Then I heard her say, "I put myself through school. Community college first, then state. I worked nights at a diner. Nobody handed me anything." My hand tightened around my glass. Those were my words, my story. Lily had dropped out of a private art college after 2 semesters and spent the next year traveling on our parents' money. She'd never worked a day in a diner in her life. When the great aunt asked about her engineering work, Lily said without hesitation, "Structural engineering. Small firm stuff, but it's so rewarding to build something real." I set my glass down carefully. She was standing in a $6,000 wedding gown, telling strangers she was me. I found Lily near the dessert table and asked to talk to her. She glanced at me like I was an annoyance. "Make it quick," she said. I kept my voice low. "I just heard you tell Ethan's aunt that you put yourself through engineering school." "You didn't. That's my degree, my career. You dropped out of college." She picked up a macaron and said, "Jamie, you're imagining things." I insisted, "I heard you say structural engineering and community college first, then state." She turned to me with that dismissive look and said, "You're standing at my wedding in a dress that doesn't fit, making accusations. Do you hear yourself? Stop being dramatic." Just then, Mom cut me off near the coat. Check. She had that fake smile on her face. "Whatever you said to your sister, stop," she said. I asked her why Lily was telling people she had my degree. She pulled me behind a column and said, "The Thompsons have certain expectations. Lily needed to present a certain picture, a self-made picture. You know how these families are." I was stunned. "What did she tell them about me?" I asked. She said, "That you've struggled, that you have difficulties, and that the distance between you two is because of your issues, not hers." I was about to leave during the salad course when Margaret Thompson approached me in the coat check hallway. "You're the one who graduated in civil engineering from the state university, aren't you?" she said. I was shocked. "How do you know that?" I asked. She said, "I'm 82, dear. I don't enter into family matters without doing my research." She then nodded towards the reception hall and said, "I think you should stay for the toasts. You'll want to be here for what comes after." I was tempted to leave, but something in her voice made me stay. When I sat back down at my table, I reached under my chair for my phone and found Mom's phone instead. A notification banner lit up the screen, the Parker Girls group chat. I shouldn't have swiped, but I did. The messages were a bombshell. 3 weeks ago, Aunt Clara had said, "What about the pink one in the clearance section? It's hideous and it's huge." Mom had replied, "Perfect. She'll look like she doesn't belong, which she doesn't." Lily had added, "Make sure the photographer knows to keep her in the back. If she's in the front, Ethan's family will wonder why she looks like that." Mom had assured her it was taken care of. There were also screenshots of what Lily had told the Thompsons. My career, my degree, Nana's final days, all were stolen and made into her story. I became the troubled older sister who had a breakdown after Nana's death and had been estranged from the family ever since. The toasts began. The maid of honor, Lily's college friend, started talking about Lily's incredible journey. She talked about a woman who put herself through school, built a career, and nursed her grandmother through her final days. Every word was a lie, but the room was eating it up. Daniel was wiping his eyes, and Mom was beaming. Then, Margaret Thompson stood up. The room fell silent. She walked towards my table, and everyone's eyes followed her. She sat down next to me and took my hand. "Jamie," she said, "I'd like to ask you something, and I'd like you to answer honestly. Not for me, for my grandson." I nodded. She asked, "Did you care for your grandmother during her illness?" I said, "Yes, for 3 years until the end." She then asked about my degree and my firm, and I answered truthfully. Lily tried to brush it off, saying I was jealous. But Ethan was starting to see the truth. Margaret then revealed that she had made 3 phone calls before the wedding. She had spoken to the director of the nursing home where Nana had received care, the alumni office at the state university, and Nana's neighbor. She knew everything. Lily's composure started to crack. She lashed out, saying I had always been better than her. "You got the grades, you got Nana's attention, you got the career, and I got nothing," she said. For a moment, I felt a twinge of sympathy, but then I remembered all the lies and the humiliation. The truth was out, and the wedding was in shambles. Lily ran out of the reception, and the Thompsons withdrew their support for the marriage. Ethan was heartbroken but also relieved to know the truth. In the days that followed, Mom and Lily showed up at my office. Mom said they needed my help to fix the situation. I told them I wasn't going to talk to Margaret or cover their debts. "You used everything I gave and used it to erase me," I said. "I'm done." As I drove back to Greenville that night, I thought about how I had finally stood up for myself. I left the pink dress folded on the passenger seat, a symbol of the lies and humiliation I had left behind. And I knew that from now on, I would never let anyone push me to the back again.